Hey guys, I'm ShadowRock.
And I'm TGP.
And this discussion is brought to you by DiGiorno Pizza. Sonic the Hedgehog, you're the fresh baked pizza of gaming, while the other side is delayed delivery pizza. What is the delayed delivery pizza? Well, in this case, that would be my number 9, which we are talking about again.
Shots fired, and yes, we're talking about it again.
Yes. Yeah, remember the pizza explosions? Pretty funny, not gonna lie. But you know, there might actually be a reason for that. What do you think those are, TGP?
It could be a many factors. Could be somebody liked it, then someone else approved it. Or it could be maybe budgeting issues.
Maybe there are frame rate issues of the game with the original explosions, so pizza explosions are the way to go.
Oh man, that could be a thing.
That could actually be a thing. Or I guess Inafune was just sitting there one day eating cheap cardboard pizza, and he's like, wait a minute. He walks into the development room and he screams in Japanese, "Pizza explosions!
Pizza explosions in my video game."
Perhaps even though the game is still on track to release this month, you are under the impression that the game will get delayed yet again at the last possible moment. Well, we have some evidence to refute that actually, and that is, it would appear the review copies of My Number 9 are actually going out. The first sign of review copies we saw was when IGN uploaded a video playing through the intro stage of the game. Now, normally that's not too special, but if you take a closer look at the button prompts, it would appear they are actually playing the PlayStation 4 version of the game, which hasn't been available previously. The commentators in the video even claim that the game is finally here. Evidence number 2 is from a guy on Twitter who posted a picture of the PlayStation 4 copy of My Number 9, brand spanking new in plastic wrap. This alone is a strong indication that people have the game already. Heck, a German review site has already posted a full review of the game, and once again, it's the PlayStation 4 copy being reviewed. So we're pretty confident the game's coming out for real this time. As before the last few delays, there has never been review copies or physical copies out in the wild. And not to mention, Inti Creates themselves has come out and said the game was done when the last release date was announced. So if Inti Creates, the developers of the game, says they are done, you know what? I believe them. But that is actually going to be the theme for this discussion. We've been looking at the comments and everyone else's discussions about My Number 9 over the last week, and we want to come back on and address some of the misconceptions and ignorance of My Number 9.
Now, keep in mind, a lot of this stuff is speculation, really.
Yeah.
Don't take this as complete fact, but basically it's food for thought.
Yes, it's food for thought. We're just giving possible scenarios of what could have happened, why things have happened the way they are, and it's just food for thought for you guys to discuss more in the comments below, honestly. And we'll get into some other little lessons we want to get across in this video as well. But for now, let's address the misconceptions. Alright, the next misconception I want to talk about is apparently people are a little confused about what the game was supposed to be from conception to what we have now. And the first thing I want to talk about is apparently people are saying that Beck was originally supposed to actually gain transformations from regular enemies, not just bosses, but regular enemies. And apparently people have seen something somewhere on the internet saying that these scrap transformations were scrapped because of budgeting issues, didn't have enough money to do it. Now, the thing about this, that's completely not true. Comcept has been saying from the very beginning that Beck was supposed to get his transformations from bosses only. Now, what Beck actually gets from enemies is buffs. So, more attack power, more defense power, more speed. Of course, there's some other things in there, like double jumps and whatnot, which we didn't get in the final game, but at least we got what they promised in a way. We still got our attack buffs and defense and speed. And of course, that's the thing in Kickstarter too. they can say all these things, but in the end, what we get is what we get. It's not a guarantee that things will be what we think they are. These supposed scrap transformations gained from enemies, that's actually supposed to be all bosses. Completely not true. Now, there's another thing that I just saw, and apparently some people think that the game was supposed to be a 2D game. Like Mega Man X, classic Mega Man, those kind of 2D games. That's actually not the case. Because Comcept has also been saying from the very beginning, the graphics they were going for from the onset was 2.5D graphics using 3D models. So what we got is what we got.
Basically, if you don't understand what that means, imagine Mega Man X7, X8, but not the 3D portions where you're moving around the entire stage. Basically, the models are all 3D, everything's 3D, it looks 3D, but you only move left to right, up and down, and in the 2D aspect. So it's what they call 2.5D. You can also think of games like Smash. It's a 2.5D game. You only move up and down, left and right.
The new Kirby games are 2.5D.
That's basically what 2.5D, and that's the vision that Mighty Number 9 has always had.
Right.
Now, would it have been cool if it was 2D?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Probably, we'll never know. But hey,
you guys need to keep in mind. Yes, there's concept art from when the Kickstarter was first announced, but they even say in little letters beneath the images, this is purely concept art. This isn't what the game is actually going to look like.
Yeah, it's not the final product, is what they're saying. And that's what people usually do when they introduce a new project. They just have concept, basically to get us to go, wow, this looks pretty cool.
The other thing I want to talk about is the little tidbit that Beck was supposed to actually transform his entire body when he takes on different powers, different transformation. In the final game, it is true, the only time Beck actually transforms his whole body, seemingly, is when he transforms into Seismic, one of the Mighty Numbers that looks like one of those construction vehicles. That's what he transforms into. And that's like the only time that he actually transforms his entire body. Otherwise, he's pretty much like Mega Man. He kind of takes on the form of the enemy.
Yeah, he changes the color, maybe a bit of the textures here and there.
Yeah, that's something that probably didn't make it to the game at all. And it's not a big deal because I'm looking at the concept art right now, and one of the ones is Beck turns into like this hammer looking thing. Wouldn't it be kind of weird to play as a hammer? Yeah. So, I don't know. I think they may have done what they thought was best in the end. Like I said, it's concept art. It's literally ideas. Whether they actually make it in the game, it's not guaranteed.
It's basically ideas, and they are ambitious is the word. And while they're developing it, sometimes they're like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have been that ambitious. It happens. We don't know if that actually happened, but that's a possibility for sure.
It happens all the time in game development.
But yeah, anything can really happen when you're making a game, or anything in general, to be honest.
What we're basically saying about that is, be a little more reasonable when you're saying, well, this is supposed to be in the game, but it wasn't. It's not like they promised. You backed the game that they wanted to make, and they made their game. And that's what you get.
Yeah, it's like you're taking a risk, essentially. You don't know whether or not you're gonna get the same thing that you're getting. But as long as they keep true to their word to a certain degree, I mean,
and pretty much they have.
For the most part, they have.
Yeah.
There has been some things, but we'll get to that at a later time.
All right. Well, I suppose we should just move on. And the next thing we want to talk about is, well, everybody's been saying it for a really long time now. $4 million. Where did it all go?
This seems like it's a scam. They're conning us for our money. They're everywhere. The comments are literally everywhere.
The game doesn't even look like a $4 million game. Yeah, those kind of comments.
Now, before we do mention our points, we will say this, and I feel this way. You might feel this way as well. The graphics could definitely look better than what they do look now. But there might be reasons as to why it's like this. Not defending them in any way, but this might be a possible reason why.
To be fair, our intention was never to defend them with this video.
That's right. We're not really defending. This is just speculation. Food for thought. Let's not throw that many rocks at Comcept. Basically.
Not as many, no.
So the budgeting. These guys got what? $4 million plus, give or take, as the entirety?
Mm-hmm.
Where did it all go, man?
Well, how about their pretty sizable team?
Yeah. One of the biggest things about a company, and any company whatsoever, that costs money, probably the most amount of money, is labor. And depending on how many people are in your company, whether it be a few people here and there, or a handful, or even a whole building's worth of people, they got a job, they got to get paid somehow. And I'm not saying this is entirely true, but I'm pretty sure a good chunk of that money did happen to go towards labor. Because labor is not cheap whatsoever. But
well, here's the thing. A lot of people are saying how other Kickstarters only got like maybe a fourth or even less than that compared to my number 9. Well, you gotta keep in mind, a lot of those indie games, there's only like maybe 1 to 4 people actually working on the game. That's a really small team. Many of the indie games are developed by extremely small teams, so that means less money to actually pay them. However, Comcept, they literally hired all these all-star Mega Man developers that just jumped ship from Capcom, just came in and said, hey, let's make a game. And these guys aren't just amateurs. These guys have been in the industry for however many years, and they proved themselves. So you can't just say, oh, I'm just going to pay you minimum wage. No. You gotta pay these guys for what their talent is, what their skill level is.
basically, you gotta pay them for what they're worth. And if
Yes.
you can go ahead and try and not pay them less, oh, they'll walk out on you like that.
Yeah.
And they'll just find someplace else. So, while I'm not saying that it was a great idea to hire all those all-stars, because, I mean, labor, again, is not cheap whatsoever. They probably should have like balanced it out a bit. Maybe it wouldn't have cost that much, or so we think. Could be that.
And other than that, though, where else did the money go? Well, how about the fact that the base game was only going to be $900K? That was all they were asking for at first, and then obviously the game met that goal really quickly, and from there they literally had to make up all of these stretch goals just basically out of their butts. And of course there's things that end up getting funded, like porting to every single console imaginable, at least between this generation and the previous generation, and all the extra stages, the extra modes, and all that. Now people are saying this game made $4 million, why aren't the graphics better? And well, the graphics were going to be what they were no matter what, because there's a reason for the stretch goals. For example, the porting. That money has to go towards the porting, because porting is not cheap. Oh no.
Not only that, but they're porting to like the big 3 companies, Sony,
Yeah.
Microsoft, and Nintendo. So obviously, with them being big names, you can't be like, hey, I want to put my game in your system, and they'll be like, all right, cool, cough it up.
Yep. And then also I gotta get game approved and all that good stuff. And obviously there's also the modes, and obviously they gotta put the money towards those modes as well to actually make them functional and everything. What we're basically saying is that they put every penny imaginable into the graphics. Sure, they might have looked good, but the thing is, you gotta budget these things out, and whatever money goes into what is what's gotta go into what.
I'm pretty sure probably the most expensive thing besides the porting would be the online mode.
Oh yeah, online is not cheap either, I'm pretty sure. Not to mention these guys are pretty inexperienced when it comes to online, especially Inti Creates. They're used to making single player experiences.
Oh man, it went from like a small game to like this big giant, and all these big parts of the game, they just gotta take up chunks here, chunks there. It's nuts.
This game was originally only going to have like 6 Robot Master stages. They only added 2 of them because of the stretch goal. And you know, that might actually go into the delays, which we're actually going to talk about in a second here, is because all the stretch goals, they had to like prepare all this stuff, extra stuff that they originally weren't going to before actually releasing the game. And Shovel Knight actually approached this issue differently. They actually are going to release the stretch goals at a later time. They're still working on those stretch goals to this day, but they just went ahead and put out the base game right away, which My Number 9 did not. Well, just when we thought we were done going over all the points of where did the money go, some more misconceptions pop up. Well, this time I have a comment I just ran into this morning after the discussion, and this guy says, I'm pretty sure that the animated series took some of the Kickstarter money. Now I actually replied to this, and my reply pretty much sums up what I have to say about this. And my reply was, no, that would be all on whoever is making it. A studio came forward and made a pitch to Comcept, not the other way around. Pretty sure they don't leave a bill behind after making a pitch either. Even if Comcept would pay a bit for it, it would not come out of the game's funding. That's just dumb. Honestly, that whole misconception is completely dumb. Yes, they had plans to make an animated series. Heck, there's been a lot of radio silence over that over the last few years, so I don't even know if this animated series is even happening at this point. But if they are indeed making it, I'm pretty sure it's not going to come out of the game's budget. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on this, but wouldn't Comcept be the ones making licensing revenue off of this, not losing money, since the studio would basically be paying for the whole animated series? Highly doubt it's coming out of the Kickstarter money. Speaking of the Kickstarter money, I actually have one more post I want to draw your attention to, and this is actually on the My Number 9 forums. And this guy says, did Comcept just know how much money each stretch goal they were making would cost? It boggles the mind that they early planned things like enemy transformations were scrapped for a tight budget when the game had 800% of its funding. And like we talked about before, the enemy transformations, that's completely not true. It was just gonna be boss transformations. And I guess I should say the topic is where'd the money go exactly? So it's the same thing as before. Where'd the money go? Well, the reason I'm pointing you guys to this topic is one of the moderators of My Number 9 actually made a pretty savage reply. It's extremely on point as well. So he says all the money went exactly as follows, and he just posts the entire picture of all the stretch goals. Like, he's basically saying, this is where all the money went, nowhere else. This is it right here. Everything in this picture that you're looking at, this is where the money went. And pretty much your argument is invalid. And yeah, this man just literally summed up our entire section of this discussion in one picture. Just wow. But anyways, we shall move on to the next topic now. Yeah, and speaking delays, we got a post here that might give us some insight into why the delays were so bad. Why did they delay the game? I've said it before and I'll say it again. The people saying they should have just cut out the online portion and released it later did not understand how the process would have worked. At the time of the delay, the online portion was already partially completed but had to be delayed due to unforeseen issues. So they estimated that it wouldn't take that long to fix the problems, a couple months to iron out everything. So now they choose to delay it for a bit. People say, well, you should just cut out the online for now and release it later. There's two problems with that. Number one, the game was already in the mastering process, which is what is done when builds are sent off to be checked for problems and approved for distribution. And I'll cut in here and say, yeah, they were literally getting ready to port these games into all these consoles, and that's a lot of consoles.
We're talking the current gens, I believe the previous gens,
And the handhelds.
and the handhelds.
That's a lot.
That is
So the process was started and the online portion included. If they were to remove the online portion, they would have to start all over again on the mastering process, which they were already in the middle of. They were far enough along in the mastering process that doing so at the time would have actually taken even longer than they expected it to take them to fix the problems of the online portion. So, you'd receive an even longer delay than they initially expected. Bad business decision. The other major problem is that to remove the online portion from the initial release and then add it in later would basically require them to re-release the game, as it would have had to be originally released as a single player only game and then later corrected to a single player and multiplayer game. This would cost them significant time and money to do. There is also the third problem that just because some people say they don't want the online functions does not mean people do not. People I've talked to and opinions I've read is not a good survey sample, and you cannot get an accurate reading based on that. To cut out the online portion will go against their promise of adding it in as a Kickstarter stretch goal, which is something people paid money towards when they were back in the game. The second delay for the same reason goes back to the same reasons as well. The same thing just happened again. It simply would have been a worse decision in every way. The problem is people do not understand that.
And this guy does bring up a lot of valid points too.
Yep.
Which I agree with.
I agree with this post like 100%.
For sure.
And I remember Inafune even came out himself in an interview and said basically the same thing this guy is saying. So he's not just making stuff up.
The most important one is the online race and the online function of the game. Yeah, it was part of the stretch goal, but it was also like one of the last things. So it was basically the reason why people donated so much for it. So to cut that and say, hey, we should cut it out and put it in later, even though I was one of the people who said, yeah, you should probably cut it out later.
I said it too, I'm not gonna lie, I said it too.
In reality, time is money, and this game got huge flack for the second and third delays. So if they did that, to be honest, it's one of those situations where you're screwed either way, either path you go. It just depends on how screwed you get.
Darn if you do, darn if you don't.
Exactly. That's basically the way of saying it.
Yep.
That's another thing too. A lot of people, even like a lot of backers especially, they harshly criticize because of that, but how many of them really understand this? And this post here has brought a light to that. And even my dad was talking about it before too. He didn't say all of this what he said, but he mentioned like the portion where it would take more time. And one of the things that he also mentions is that basically you need the company's approval that you want to port your game into, and if even one of them says no, then you gotta please them all if you want your game in.
Yep.
And they had to please a lot of companies to do that.
Oh, a lot of people, and I'm sure it must have taken months just to like send all these emails and get in the contact of all of them, send their game over, and then maybe another couple weeks for testing, and it's a long process.
Yeah, that's crazy how they have to go through that.
To cut out the online portion and then just do it all over again, that's just a lot of wasted time.
Time and money that they probably don't have much to spare.
Especially these delays, man. These delays are not helping them. This is purely speculation, but I have been hearing that apparently there was a problem with Deep Silver's contract, and Deep Silver is the one that decided to, or at least they made the agreement to publish My Number 9. So we got our physical copies as a result of that. And obviously they gotta sign a contract when they do this and terms and all that, and it could be things like we'll take over the marketing, which we've seen Deep Silver's marketing lately. But the important thing is, I've been hearing that apparently there was something in the contract that said that they could not release Mighty Number 9 without the online modes in there. So if that is indeed true, that would explain why they couldn't just simply remove the online modes. It was in the contract, and if it's in the contract, they got to follow through with it.
And if they don't follow through with it, legal problems would arise, and they probably just couldn't afford it, so they had to do it. And if that included disappointing the fans, so be it. So it's the same guy, but it's a different subject. And this subject is actually about Red Ash and its timing of announcement and basically all the knickknacks that happened with Red Ash. So here's the post. Go ahead and read it.
Red Ash wasn't announced that early, really. Part of game development is that while you're developing a game, at certain points you have people on your team who are no longer needed to work on the game. So if you're a major company, you have a couple of options. You can fire them, which can easily breed mistrust and dislike for your company and require you to go through the whole entire hiring process all over again later on and probably lose out on veteran talent. And yeah, they really were veteran talent. You can have them doing a whole lot of nothing and still being paid without producing much, or you can have another project in the works before the first project is finished. So, using Mighty Number 9 Red Ash as an example, Mighty Number 9 is announced, funded, and development begins. Development continues for a good while, and eventually some people, let's say some artists, are no longer actively working on the project. Well, what do? Option 1 loses you potentially talented artists and can harm your image. Option 2 loses you money without any return and can lead to employee dissatisfaction. Option 3 allows you to continue to use your employees effectively and begin producing another product, which will hopefully generate revenue as well. Well, option 3 is clearly the best option, hence why Red Ash was announced while Mighty Number 9 was still in development. They needed to start work on their next project as they had people or resources that had been freed up. While I do agree with this post, was it really necessary for them to announce Red Ash when they did?
If anything, was it really necessary to announce Red Ash as a Kickstarter? Because that was really what that basically what basically made everyone feel like we got stabbed in the back, was this Mighty Number 9 was not finished, and then they announced a new game. And not only did they announce a new game, but they said, hey, we're launching a Kickstarter for it. Can you guys help us out with this project? And that's when everyone, including ourselves, just turned our heads and went, what? You're asking for more money? Now granted, we didn't know too much about this, but that announcement really just killed it for not only Red Ash, but Mighty Number 9 also suffered as well, which is pretty bad, especially since this game is not even out yet. And
I believe this was before delay number 2, so at this point, Mighty Number 9 was going to come out in September. So at the time, Mighty Number 9 was literally in the phase where it's being ported to the consoles and going through debug. So I believe at the time they were pretty much thinking Mighty Number 9 is basically done and it was going to come out on time. So let's go ahead and get our project going.
Yeah, it's just the announcements that I don't agree with. They should have, if they did wanted to announce it, I would have said just announce it. Not ask for money, because that just makes you look really bad. And then the worst part about it is, during the whole Kickstarter, they found a publisher. So that right there just sunk the knife even deeper in our backs, or so a lot of us felt. And it really did not help their case whatsoever.
So it basically became, why did they need a Kickstarter to begin with? Another point I'll bring up is they did make a deal with an animation studio to make them an anime. Now, this is pure speculation again, but We don't know what the terms between them and the animation studio was. Was it that the animation studio was saying they should announce the game when they actually did? Was it an obligation for them to do that? Or, whose idea was it? We just don't know.
Yeah, it literally anything can happen. Whether or not they wanted to, we probably will never know. All we know now is that they did it. A lot of us weren't too happy, and they suffered for it. Big time.
But as the post says, it does make a lot of sense for a video game company to work on another project while the other one is in the final phases.
Exactly.
So that's pretty much your food for thought for that post. Let's move on though.
This forum post, you can only see it if you're a backer. It's in their backer forum. Otherwise, if you're just a public, just a guy who didn't back it, you're not going to get into it unless someone else shows you.
So this is a little more on the personal side, so we're not going to show this person's name or anything. We're just going to show you the post and our thoughts on it.
We're going to show you the title, the post, completely white out every detail that would pertain to said person. But I'm going to read the title, and we're going to talk about it a little bit, and then I'm going to get to reading it. So the title reads, "Please allow backers a chance to remove their names from the credits." Now, if you remember, if you were a backer to this game, they would add your name at the end of the game for backing it. So, reading this, I was like, whoa, that is some serious shots fired towards...
Those are some fighting words.
Yeah, those are literally fighting words. Like, oof. And...
Gets better though. Read the post.
It does get a bit better. Alright. I would like to take a moment to respectfully express my concerns about Mighty Number 9. Please understand that I am not judging the quality of the game itself, as I have not had a chance to play it. I am also not judging anyone connected to this game as individuals. My concerns are solely about the manner in which this project was presented to us, the backers, compared to the way in which the game has been presented in the last year. The original Kickstarter presentation of this project was done with a reverence that convinced me that this project would take its fans and the legacy of Mega Man seriously. By seriously, I mean that the game would sincerely appeal to the fans of retro platformers and exhibit a timeless sense of self-confidence in this presentation. Instead, the marketing of this game has produced enough crass and immature appeal to the stereotypes of children and makes it a joke at the expense of many of the people that helped make the game possible. Combined with the numerous delays, the failed attempt by Mr. Inafune to expand on the brand before delivering the first game, and then taking on Fuse as a publisher for Red Ash, even though Fuse blatantly used images they did not own on its website. I hope in light of these troubled business decisions that you will understand why I and so many other backers no longer have confidence in this project. I responded to a survey about my name being in the credits and gave my full real name. This is before I became aware of the extent of these troubling developments for the game, and I have failed to consider that a pseudonym would have been more appropriate. Regardless of whether the final product is good quality or not, I no longer wish for my name to be contained in this product. I suspect I am not alone. Please consider allowing backers to have a chance to remove or edit their names in the game's credits. Now I fear this may result in damaging to my reputation. Even if the game is good, I'm afraid that having my name connected with this troubled project will reflect on me negatively. Again, I say this respectfully, even though I am aware of my criticism is harsh. Please understand the situation, as I am a backer in the light of what has happened. So essentially what this person is saying is, at first he felt that the game that he backed was going to be a great project to back, and
like we all did.
I don't blame him. We all had that perception to it. We all wanted to back it up because it was essentially a game that we're getting a Mega Man game, a spiritual successor, as we and them called it. And
it couldn't have come at a better time.
Exactly. So now he's saying, because of all the stuff that's happened with Red Ash, the the delays, the crazy stuff that's happened with the whole project. He doesn't want his name. I'm gonna say he because I'm just to keep it general. We honestly don't know this person, but basically he wants to get his name out because of all this drama, all the stuff that's happened with it. If anyone happens to recognize his name in the credits, he's going to get ridiculed and be given bad rep because he backed this game. I have a lot of mixed thoughts about this.
Right off the bat, there's a couple of problems with that. First thing is, I highly doubt anyone is going to pick out your name among like 69,000 or however many people backed the game's names and just go, haha, you backed the game, you sucker! And I'm pretty sure it's not going to negatively affect your reputation in any way. Like, it's not like somebody's going to deny you that super awesome corporate job just because you backed this one game that got a bad reputation, even though everybody thought that it was going to be good.
I mean, the thing is, most of this stuff that happened, nobody could have foreseen the stuff that's happened.
Nope.
Like Deep Silver coming in, the whole thing with the community manager, Red Ash. Well, that might have been that was probably one of the things that wasn't planning, but the animation company that wanted to do it, and Fuse coming in and wanted to do it, that could have been unforeseen. And the delays, they underestimated the online networking, and they didn't expect that, we had to delay this game 2 more times before we finally get it out. So basically, nobody could have seen this coming at this exact event. We usually don't think of a project going super south almost immediately, unless it's that prevalent. Mm-hmm. But basically, this person's like, I don't want my name in there. Please get it out.
And I know this guy goes on to say that he's afraid that, well, you know, we're Let's Players, for example. We know we're going to be playing this game on YouTube when it comes out, and probably a lot of other people are going to be Let's Playing this game when it comes out. So this person was saying that they're afraid that said Let's Players are going to find his name again among so many other different names and just ridicule him publicly on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever it is. And again, I'm just gonna give my word as a fellow Let's Player that I'm not gonna do that. Like, that's completely disrespectful, and I highly doubt many other people would do the same thing. And if they do, that person is a pretty sad person, not gonna lie.
While I do understand the concern of getting ridiculed, you'd also would have to understand that those are literally just words and thoughts that shouldn't get to you at all. Honestly, that's something that you yourself personally take to heart, and you shouldn't let that happen. You should literally toughen up. And the reason why I say that is because I used to be bullied myself when I was younger. And
same here, man.
I was the same way. We got bullied, and we let the words get to us.
Let it get to us. Everyone said, you know, you're dumb. This thing's wrong with you. You know, happens to a lot of people.
Whenever someone tries to insult you or like say anything negative about you or your product or anything closely related to you that you love or like, it's because they want a reaction from you. Like, if somebody says they hate something but not towards you, then that's their opinion. But if somebody says I hate this towards you, they want that attention. They want your reaction, and they want you to retaliate, and then they want to keep pushing you down like that. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that's not even it shouldn't be like that. But unfortunately, that's how people are going to be.
But yeah, don't let it get you, man. If you let it get to you, if you let those words get you down, it's just gonna build up inside of you, and in the end, you're probably going to do something you are going to regret.
Now, while the thought to remove your name might seem like a great idea, honestly, it really isn't. Now, I will say, if they give you the chance to change your name, perhaps, to add a pseudonym, then yeah, you should go ahead and do that. But let me also say this, too. If you were so worried about your name being put out there like that,
why'd you give it to them?
Why did you do it? Why'd you put your real name to begin with?
Why'd you do it, man?
Generally, with the internet, if you feel uncomfortable or uneasy to put your real name, you put out your screen name, whatever name you call yourself. That's why you don't see me on my YouTube putting my actual name.
Same here.
Now, some of you guys know my name. Some of you guys know ShadowRock's name, but we don't actually say it a lot in YouTube because that's basically our screen name. That's what we name ourselves in the internet. That's basically our identity on the internet. That's not our identity in real life.
Yeah.
So the fact that you put your name out without realizing or without thinking, oh man,
so many people are going to see this.
Now, again, none of us could have foreseen this, and that is probably why you put your name, because nothing bad is going to happen. But the question is, if it still ended up being good, would you want your name to change still, or do you just want to keep it? And I'm going to assume you're going to say, my name would stay the same, and I wouldn't really care. But the only reason why you're saying this is because of all the stuff that's happened. That's not even their fault.
Right.
Some of the stuff that happened, that is completely unforeseen. It just happened. And a lot of people jumped into the bandwagon to literally bash the game. That now it has this bad rap where if anyone even remotely mentions Mighty Number 9, that's what happens. They start ridiculing it. And I mean, we joke about it too, but we basically take it too far, and now it's got a really bad name to it. But don't let it get to you. Literally, don't even.
Yeah.
Just don't. If you let it get to you, then yes, that is the type of fear you're gonna have, and that you're gonna live with that fear all your life. Oh man, they're making fun of me because I backed Mighty Number 9. Oh man. And
yeah,
like I don't care. Like, my name's gonna be there. I'm pretty sure I used my real name.
I don't know if I did. I might have used my screen name, I believe. If I even did the survey.
But basically, if I did use my real name, I'm not gonna change it. I already put my name down. I already knew the consequences and the liabilities that could happen. Now, the thing is, too, is as you've said, this game might be good. It might be good. It might be bad. We never know. But hey, we are essentially investors, and the only way you would probably be able to get your name out of there, and I'm just saying this because while it might work, it's not gonna happen, and that's if you get your money back. Basically, erase the fact that you've ever invested into this game. Well, that process is long done.
There's literally no point to complain now. You're literally complaining the month before the game comes out, less than a month before the game comes out. They're not going to do anything now. The game's gone gold, and the only reason they would do it now, or even like, if they even wanted to, they couldn't do it unless they did like a day one patch or something.
And will they actually consider this? I
highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it, but you never know. I'm not gonna hold my breath anything.
Yeah.
So, while reading the comments for the forum, a lot of people are actually agreed, like, yeah, I kind of want my name out, but
there's just no point in complaining about it now. You gave your real name. That's honestly your fault. You gave them your name willingly, and now they can do whatever they want with it. You gave them permission to do it.
Let's put it this way. And this goes by us personally. We don't know if other people know this publicly. But there are, I believe, a total of 4 people who backed $10,000 into this game. To my knowledge, I don't know who those 4 people are. Do you know who those 4 people are?
Oh no.
And those 4 people would be like prime targets of who are these guys? Who did it?
Yeah, that's a good point.
If they don't know them, if none of us know them, then what makes you think they're gonna know you? Unless you're one of the 4.
I mean, we both have publicly said how much we backed in it on all that, but it's nothing compared to these guys that backed like $10,000. You know, they didn't know things would go down like they have.
Basically, what I'm trying to say is, unless somebody's literally looking out for you and wants to maliciously talk bad about you, it's probably just gonna happen like, haha, that guy did it, and then they move on with their day.
Yeah.
And they just do whatever from that point. Because that's how it usually is. They just say something, they expect a reaction, and they move on with their lives. And that's how you should treat it.
Like I said, I'm not gonna do that, because if I make fun of you for backing the game, by extension, I'm making fun of myself for backing the game. Because
exactly,
literally, we're all in this.
So, don't feel ashamed. Feel skeptical, yes, because of the things that's happened, and do consider whether or not you want to invest in their future endeavors. But we're literally at the end of the ride. It's like we're on a roller coaster. A wheel fell out. We're all scared. Maybe 2 wheels. I don't know. But hey, we're almost there. So let's just ride it till the end. And then after that, run to the nearest hospital and, you know, calm down a bit.
Yep.
In that sort of sense.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. And for those who are doubting the delays, however, keep in mind, for each and every time they set a date, the developers, Inti Creates, didn't really say anything.
Nope.
This time, Inti Creates says it's coming out on this day. So if the developers themselves say, hey, it's coming out,
it's pretty legit.
I would say it's legit. So,
and not to mention, they never ever said it was completely gold before.
So keep your chin up.
Yep.
Because I'm the type of guy who, there might be a lot of bad things going on, but I'll always be like, hey, look at the bright side.
I'm the type of guy that everybody will say this game is complete garbage, but I'll still be there like, I'm still optimistic.
So now we're gonna head into basically a little tangent from this topic that we're talking about. It kind of falls under the same thing, but now it's more of a, this is where the ignorance, like, really, jeez, man, like, there's just so much of it. So obviously when something bad goes down, something bad happens, a lot of people say things, a lot of people throw shade at things, and basically now it has come to the point where if you even mention Mighty Number 9, or if like there's a Mighty Number 9 video or post or anything, there will be people who will bash it for absolutely no reason.
Absolutely no reason.
And it's not like they're giving criticisms that it deserves.
No.
They're just doing it just because.
It's the cool thing right now. It's literally the bandwagon thing to do right now.
Yeah, it's like, it's the cool guy effect. Like, the cool guy is like, hey, this game sucks, and just leaves it at that. And now everyone's doing the same thing. And it's gotten to the point where people are saying things that make them look really, really dumb.
It's just, some people we've seen have gone full retard. Let's put it that way.
Oh man, you never
go for your retard.
Never. But for like, we're gonna talk about some examples. There's like a pretty common one. Is this game looks like a ripoff of Mega Man? Like,
can I tell my story then?
yeah, you go ahead.
Literally, the other day I was on Facebook, and I made a terrible mistake. What was that mistake? I looked at the comments of one of the Mighty Number 9 trailers that the official Facebook page posted. And I just look at the comments. Literally 90% of said comments were like, "This is a ripoff of Mega Man! Man, I know Mega Man while I see it. It's a freaking ripoff! Yo, who's making this game? He's ripping off Mega Man!" And
they're like, oh, they're gonna get sued and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're gonna get sued by Capcom. And it's like, you guys must be new here.
Because
I was just cringing so much that I had to look away from it. I just couldn't take it anymore. It was that bad.
so yeah, it's stuff like that it's pretty, like, you look at it and you're like, you just want to like just facepalm super hard, and you just say stuff completely out of your butt cheeks, and it's like, why don't you just maybe learn a thing or two?
Could you have the decency to educate yourself about this thing before you go and bash it? Like, I don't even care if you want to criticize my number 9 to all heck. Can you at least educate yourself about what the game is about, what has happened, and all this stuff before you go saying things that you probably shouldn't?
Now, saying the graphics are bad, that's one thing. That's very subjective to the person. Somebody might think it's the greatest thing in the world. Some other people might think it's the biggest piece of garbage they've ever seen in their entire lives. Obviously, there is no right or wrong with that sort of thing. But when you're talking about something like, oh yeah, Mega Man is just like a rip off of Mega Man, like, come on guys, like, really guys? I'm like, that was kind of the point. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, didn't it kind of start off with Mega Man-ish? Like, showing off some Mega Man stuff in the trailer?
Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, this is the quote-unquote father of Mega Man making this game. Of course it's gonna be like Mega Man.
It's like, he heard our plea, and he answered it. And this is one heck of a roller coaster ride, but a plea's been answered nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, and it's stuff like that just makes you go, oh my god.
Like, criticizing is one thing, but nothing makes me angrier than seeing somebody who clearly does not understand the situation and just basically bashes.
And it's not like, this shouldn't upset me. I'm pretty open with opinions, but
I mean,
this is just too much dumb.
That's basically what it is. It's just dumb that bothers me. Not necessarily the criticism itself. It's just the dumb.
It's like, you're literally just saying this stuff because you saw someone else or heard someone else say this stuff. So you're like, oh, I gotta say this too, so I can be one of those cool guys who bash this game. Now, I'm not saying this game doesn't deserve any bashing.
Oh no.
Maybe not as hard as it is, but it does deserve some criticisms. We've had our criticisms, and it's going to expand even more when this game comes out, and whether or not it lives up to what it was supposed to be. But calm down, please. Go read a book. Watch a movie.
Try to be a little more thoughtful about what you say. Form your own opinions. Look at the game objectively. You know, take in everything and try to form your own thoughts on it. Don't just look at someone else's comment on YouTube and say, oh man, this guy's right. I'm going to say whatever he says.
Don't be a sheep.
Don't be a sheep.
Basically. And it sounds like we're whining, and let's be honest, we kind of are. But, like, and obviously it's not going to stop. It won't stop. Some people may be like, well, maybe they're right.
I mean, it's not just my number 9. It's the gaming community as a whole, honestly. The gaming community has just gone out of hand of all the negativity, and it's just, you know, there's just so many things out right now that people are just being super negative about. Sometimes for no reason at all.
I blame nostalgia, but that's a topic for an entirely different video, if it ever comes up, because boy, would I have to say a lot about that.
Mm-hmm. If anything, the reason why we're saying what we are is we want to see the Mega Man community, the My Number 9 community, we want to see this community just kind of rise above this negativity. I just want to see it to be great again.
I just want to be good, man.
It's just good, man.
Stop telling me my game sucks, even though I'm not.
I know that Capcom has not released a good Mega Man game in years. And yes, it's probably because of that the fan base has completely deteriorated since then. But, at least Capcom is doing something. And at least there is My Number 9. It might not be your dream game, but it is something. So, keep the faith, guys. It's not all doom and gloom.
Imagine somebody would make like a fan movie of a certain subject because like the director who would make the movie just doesn't want to do it anymore. Think of it like that, really.
Mm-hmm.
Stop annoying me. Stop rustling my jimmies, please. That's all I ask. And as I say that, they're gonna do it some more. I'm like, no, please. But now I'm just gonna honestly, what can you do? It's the internet.
Yeah. But anyways, the whole point of this video was just to give you guys some food for thought on a variety of different misconceptions surrounding My Number 9. And if you get anything out of this video, just form your own opinions. Just before you go bashing something, maybe educate yourself a bit and think really hard about what you're gonna say. And just be nice. At least try to be nice. Of course, you can criticize the game, you can think the graphics suck, but
who knows? It might suck. It might be worse when it comes out, and then
it could be Mega Man X7 bad. We don't know. We'll just wait and see.
All we know is that this game comes out on June 21st, 20 days from now.
Yes.
Gooby Plus.
And I just remembered the word I was going to use. If you're going to criticize the game, at least make it constructive.
Exactly. That's basically the best way to putting it.
It's like this. If you say something's bad, well, why is it bad? Right?
Convince me. Make me think about what you said. Okay, maybe it might be bad.
Yeah. I'm not saying some of you guys out there don't have legit reasonings behind what you guys have to say. Some of you guys are totally fine. I know there are other people out there that are like us two that are actually kind of optimistic about the game and looking forward to see more. So it could go both ways.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's been quite a discussion, buddy.
As it has.
Mighty Number 9 just keeps on giving.
Sure does, man.
Listen, at the end of the day, this game comes out soon. Gonna have some pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy my game.
50% off Papa John's pizza, baby.
Good stuff, man. So, yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, guys, video games are literally just a hobby, a entertainment thing that allows us to waste time for literally no reason. And maybe if it's something we like, maybe put a smile on our face.
Now, with that being said, if they happen to do something that's really bad, then by all means, no chill whatsoever. But
right.
If it happens, because again, we're not defending these guys. We're just providing theories.
Yeah.
And saying plus. Anyways, so this is about time we wrap this up. Anyways.
Yeah. Well, I for one, I'm still looking forward to the game. I want to see more of the stages. I want to try out more of the transformations, and from what I played, it's actually pretty decent. And I already know the soundtrack is completely amazing. It's exactly what you would want out of a Mega Man-esque soundtrack. I know the graphics aren't amazing, but I don't think graphics were really that amazing in Mega Man to begin with. So there is that.
Yeah.
As long as I have fun with it and it puts a smile on my face, maybe even like a goofy ho smile on my face, it's fine.
If I can crack some jokes, they'll be great.
Yeah. I mean, we make jokes about it all the time, but that's just how we have fun with things. It's just our way of doing it.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna burn the peaks of jokes to the ground.
Oh yeah. We'll be eating pizza and we saying, man, look at those pizza explosions, man.
It's pretty great.
Yeah, that's another thing too, you know, some things could be so bad it's good.
Exactly. Alright. This has been TGP.
It's been ShadowRock. And rock on.
Peace out.